Hi, welcome back to POD. Today we have kind of an interesting topic to discuss, one that leaves a lot of people feeling uncomfortable. I would like to talk to you today about a matter that many families throughout the world struggle with. They find it as very challenging and difficult to deal with. What is it? LGBT. Lesbian, gay, bi, and transgender. Hi, I'm William Asberry of POD, and I would like to announce that I am coming out of the closet. No, I'm not gay, but I am the proud parent of a gay son. Now, months ago, years ago, I could not say proud. There was a lot of disappointment in learning that my son was gay. I think that it's a fair assessment to say that when young people, when your kids come out and they announce that they're gay, there is a sense of disappointment because we as parents, we have this perception when we're holding our kids when they're little. We fantasize about how they're going to grow up, how we're going to help them grow into the people that they're going to become. We have this fantasy about them living a traditional life. And when they go against the grain of living that traditional life, it's very normal and natural for parents to feel a sense of disappointment, embarrassment, and in some cases shame. And the reason why I said I'm coming out of the closet is because I hid the fact for many years that I had a son that was gay. Oh, sure, I would tell some people, but I never really wholeheartily accepted it. I kind of buried myself in that closet, waiting for my son to change, thinking that it's just a phase that he's going through, something that he's going to get over, that he's going to find his way back to my side of the fence. But that wasn't the case. That never materialized. It never happened. And I was fooling myself in thinking that it was something that he could change. And I later found out in life, especially living here in the Philippines, that you can't change. He didn't choose to be that way. If you have a family member in your family that is gay or falls under the umbrella of the LGBT community, it's important to note that they didn't choose to be that way. It's not like a conscious decision that they said, hey, I'm going to do this to make my dad mad at me, or I'm going to do this to get back at my mom, or I'm going to do this to get back at my wife, etc. You see, and that touches on another thing. There are also couples that are married and in a traditional marriage where one of the spouses will come out and realize that they're living a lie, if you will, that they haven't accepted themselves for who they are. And sometimes it takes a while for them to understand their sexuality and exactly who they are. Now, I'm not a professional in this area. I don't have a medical degree in this area by any means. But what I feel that makes me qualified to speak on this matter is I've already explained that to you is because I have a gay son. It was really hard for me to accept. I grew up on the streets of Detroit. We later then moved to a Wisconsin farm when I was 12 years old, and as everybody knows, living a life on the farm is a tough way of life. It's an honorable yet tough way to live. I remember so many times I hurt my hand. I'm out in the field on the tractor, and I hurt my hand cleaning out one of the machines, the equipments in the field, and my stepdad would say, "Rah, just throw a little dirt on it and get back up there on the tractor seat." You know, that's the way I was raised. Also in the Marine Corps, they develop A personality types. So I had some misconceptions about the LGBTs as being weaker, not as together as the A personality types. But the Philippines, living here in the Philippines, has really swayed my thinking. There's a lot of people that fall in the LGBT community. A lot of people here, more so than I've seen in the United States. Maybe they're just better at hiding it. I don't know. But here in the Philippines, they're just out with it. It's like it's in your face. There is so much of it here. Either you grow to adapt and to adjust to it, or you get on the plane and you go home. I will say that I have a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances in business places that are gay, lesbian, etc. And I just adore them. They're wonderful people. They're wonderful people. They're really good people. And it made me realize what does it matter to me what they do with whom when the lights go out. That's something that's only a small part of who they are. It's not what they are. It's no different than you and I, if you're heterosexual like myself. It's no different. I have friends who are straight, just like myself. But does it matter to me who they're sharing their life with? No, it doesn't matter to me. So why should it matter to me if somebody in the LGBT community, And it doesn't anymore. It used to. My son, you're going to hear from him a little bit later on in this video. I think that my son exhibits a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to come out and to admit to your parents, to your friends, basically to your social group that you're gay. And I have a lot of respect for him because it's something that I can't wrap my mind around. I had a hard enough time with it as a parent, trying to recognize and accept that his son was gay. The Philippines, I think that if I did not move to the Philippines, I probably more than likely still would have had a very difficult time accepting it. I think that we can agree that times have changed. If you remember back in the 1940s, 1950s, and when I came knocking on the door in the 1960s, divorce was a word. It was like, don't say that. Don't say the D word in public. Divorce back in those days was very frowned upon. And people just did not talk about it. So you can say that they were in the closet too.
Hey everybody, my name's Tyler. I am William Asberry's son. I live here in America. And the reason I'm recording this video for you today is just to share a little bit about my coming out experience with you, and kind of give you an idea of what it was like to come out of the closet as a gay American for me. So really I think the best place to start is at the beginning. When I was a young child, I knew that I was different from other boys my age. I didn't want to play sports, I didn't want to play with toy cars. I was much more into playing Barbies. I can remember going to McDonald's as a little kid, and when they ask you if you want the girl or the boy toy, I would always choose the girl toy because it was usually a Barbie, and I would use the Barbie as like an action figure. And I do remember, occasionally my dad would be like, Ty, are you sure you don't want the boy toy? Trying to get me to choose, the race car. And I'd always be like, no, Dad, I want the Barbie. So just kind of a funny little story there. But getting older, through middle school and through high school, I always connected easier with girls than I did boys because I was just more into like the feminine activities. I was in, musical theater, so I was into singing and dancing and acting. And I got picked on a little bit because of it, because, I was different than everybody else. But at the end of the day, I kind of took it with a grain of salt because I didn't have to go home with them. It was 8 hours a day of my life, and then, I could go home to my family and just be myself. So as I got older, I started to realize that I started looking at boys differently. And my dad, I just think he didn't understand it. He was raised in a different time, and it wasn't talked about back then. It wasn't acceptable to society. So he already had these, preconceived thoughts that he was brought up with. And I think that just, it created a level of misunderstanding, and I certainly don't blame him for it. So I decided to go back in the closet because I thought that I could convince myself to start dating girls and that I would just go back to normal like they thought that I would. It didn't work out that way. I became depressed. I started acting out in ways that I shouldn't have. And it was just not a good situation. It just wasn't. So my senior year, I finally came out again and I said, look, this is who I am. You can take me or leave me. And my mom, I was lucky enough, she gave me a hug. She said, this is who you are, and there's nothing I can do about it. Now, at that time, my biological dad was getting ready to move to the Philippines, where he is now. He's got a beautiful wife, and he's living out his life. I'm so proud of him, so very proud of him. And one of the biggest things that he has taken away from the Filipino culture is a better understanding of the LGBTQ community. It's really opened up his mind to understanding, the lifestyle and understanding that I'm still Tyler. I'm not a different person than I was, when I was 5 years old. This is just me, and it doesn't matter who I choose to love. And I'm really, really proud of the person that he has become in his thinking. And he wholeheartedly accepts me for who I am. And I just love him so much. So all this to say, that was kind of my experience coming out of the closet. It was definitely hard sometimes. I felt like I was letting people down. I was scared. But at the end of the day, what you need to take away is one crucial thing. If you are being true to yourself and you are happy with who you are on the inside, you need to radiate that, because it will open people's eyes to a different mentality. It will help them understand. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message me on Facebook. Ask me, any tips or advice. My name is Tyler Asberry.
I would like to thank my son, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler, for coming out with that, sharing and being expressive and open about some of the things that you went through. For you, the viewer, I think my son took it a little easy on me. I wasn't as accepting as he portrayed me to be. It was really difficult for me. I never disowned my son. I always loved my son, but I could never understand him. I could never understand it. I kept waiting for him to change. And that ties in with what I want to leave you with. So what are some of the things that we can do? That we can do to open our minds, which enables us to open our hearts towards the LGBT community. Open communications with our child is where it starts. But you know what? When it comes right down to it, the bottom line for change, it totally falls on the parents' shoulders. We are the ones that need to change. Because, look, they're not going to change. They are who they are. Here in the Philippines, Christianity is widespread, throughout the Philippines. So that's one of the things that really surprised me, that with so many people under the LGBT umbrella that live here openly in such a widespread Christian country, Catholic country. So that opened my eyes. So anyway, if you have a family member that is struggling, or a spouse that has announced and the marriage broke up, try to have that open communications. Since I've openly accepted it, I feel free. I feel as though that I freed myself from an angst that I should have never had. It's not to say that we as parents don't have a right to feel how we feel, because we always have that traditional dream for our children, because we love our kids so much. But it really touches my heart to have been set free. And I can thank God for the Philippines for that.